What if the most powerful story about Africa has not been fully told yet? What if beyond the headlines, beyond the stereotypes, beyond the limitations people often talk about, there's a deeper story, a story of innovation, of resilience, of leadership, and of possibility? That is the story we are exploring here. Welcome to the African Possibility Podcast. My name is Emmanuel. I'm really glad you are here. Wherever Africans are in the world, whether in Lagos, London, Accra, Johannesburg, Toronto, or New York, there are extraordinary people doing thoughtful and meaningful work. People building companies, shaping ideas, leading institutions, writing books, teaching, creating culture, and contributing to society in ways that are often not fully recognized in the broader conversation about Africans and Africa. Yet, many of these stories and reflections are not always captured in a thoughtful way. Often, the conversation about Africa becomes reduced to headlines, crises, or statistics. And even when Africans are doing remarkable things across the world, their journeys, their thinking and the lessons they carry are not always explored with depth. But I have always believed there is another side to the story. A side filled with creativity, resilience, intelligence, and innovation, and extraordinary human potential. And that is what the African Possibility Podcast is all about. This podcast is a space for conversations with thinkers, entrepreneurs, leaders, creators, and everyday people who are doing remarkable things in their communities and beyond. People who represent what is possible. It is not simply about celebrating success or highlighting achievement. It is about understanding how people think, what shaped them, what they have learned along the way, what they believe the future holds for Africans across the continent and the diaspora. I believe that conversations matter, ideas matter. When people share their journeys honestly, others can learn from them, draw courage from them, and sometimes even see possibilities they had not imagined before. So this platform is really about curiosity. It is about listening to people who have walked different paths and asking thoughtful questions about those paths, about what those paths might teach the rest of us. Through these conversations, we will explore ideas about leadership, about development, innovation, culture, purpose, and the future of Africa. But more than anything, this podcast is about possibility. The possibility that new ideas can emerge. The possibility that the next generation can think differently. The possibility that Africa's story is still being written and that each one of us, in our own way, has a role to play in shaping it. My hope is that over time, the African Possibility Podcast becomes a space where Africans across the world can hear thoughtful voices, reflect on important questions, and perhaps feel a little more connected to the wider story that we are all part of. Because the African story is not written in one place. It is being shaped by Africans everywhere. And I think those conversations are worth having. If you're someone who believes in growth, in learning, in building a better future, then you are in the right place. Thank you for joining me at the very beginning of this journey, the first episode of the African Possibility Podcast. This is just the beginning of a journey of exploring ideas, stories, and people shaping the future of Africa. If this conversation resonated with you, make sure you follow the podcast and share it with someone who believes in the power of possibility. Kindly subscribe and like our YouTube channel and follow on all other social media handles: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Spotify, and Apple Podcast. Until next week, keep believing that you are possible. And I'll see you next week. Divi, thank you.
Is the African Possibility. Your narrative starts now. Your narrative starts now. Welcome to the podcast.